Oh, well, back about 2 years ago, we held some focus groups with our community supporters to find out how they wanted to fundraise for us. And what came about from that, they were offered like 5 different options. And what came about was that they wanted a community event, they wanted to walk, and they wanted to come together as a community. So we went about writing the strategy to bring on a walk, and then employed the wonderful Beth, who led the big step forward. At the time of like employing Beth, we didn't have a brand, we didn't have messaging, we needed to work out all the figures behind it. So back in 2019, all of that journey began, and then March hit with COVID, and we had to change all of our plans quite quickly from a flagship, a live event that was going to be held in Kent to a virtual event. So it was a big process actually. It was probably bigger than we had realised it was going to be. It was the first actually for the charity to create a own event. So we invest a lot into third-party events, and then create the brand off of it. So I think we approached about 3 different agencies to work with to create the brand for us, to see who would be best, who would understand Pancreatic Cancer UK and our supporters. We decided on one, and that was actually a collective decision across the organisation from key stakeholders, from our brand and communications team. Our digital team had involvement as well, because it was, you know, always going to be a digital element to this, and then our mass fundraising team that knew the community supporters. So we decided on one agency and went through about 3 different rounds to get that brand sorted. And one of our key things that we did want to bring in was our stripes that we developed a couple of years ago. So there are these bright stripes that we have running through all of our assets for people that take on events. And that was brought in, and it's so nice to actually see that on our website, on all of the materials that we sent out, and it's very striking. I hope people feel very proud to be part of that tribe that we're building. The key objective was to give our supporters what they wanted. So to fill a gap, to find an event that we would put on, that we didn't have to rely on third parties, and to bring the community together. Ultimately, for year 1 to be a flagship event, and to give people the opportunity to do it in their local area as well, so a DIY. Year 2 to go into a virtual event, so we beat that. And then year 3 to go regional. So we have loads of supporters in Scotland, Wales, and we've also got key kind of people from Pancreatic Cancer UK in those areas now, so building the regionalisation, which is really important to us. So it was about long-term support and giving supporters what they want, and building that community and tribe.
Yeah, so obviously, like you've mentioned, the decision to change into a virtual event, pivot to a virtual event, was like it came about because we had to deal with the situation that we were all under, the pandemic, and changing our fundraising tactics and strategy. We did in March, when COVID first hit, we didn't know what the next few months held, so we did postpone our flagship event to September. So we still had hopes that we'd be able to put on a live event in 2020. And then in around May, we actually made the decision that we knew it wouldn't be possible to do a live flagship event this year, but we had to keep that community together, the community that we built through the registration process, through the brand that we developed, and through people's excitement for this brand new event that we had worked together on for years, like Hannah's mentioned, not just for the year that we launched it, but for years in the strategy. So not doing the event wasn't an option. We knew we had to act quite quickly. Before the decision was officially made, we did a lot of research into the virtual market, attending different webinars and learning from other fundraisers. And we also wanted to make sure that we kept the community together. So we could have done it so that we asked people to do their walk any time of the year, going ahead, and still had a virtual walk, but almost left it up to them and asked them to do it whenever they wanted. But we really wanted to keep that feel of an event day, which is why it was really important for us to pick a day and ask everyone to walk with us in the country or even internationally. We had some international walkers as well, to make sure that it felt like an event, and that people had that community spirit, that they knew that they were doing it with hundreds of other people at the same time. And that was like a really important part of keeping the event, pivoting virtual. That was really important to us, to make sure that we kept it as an event day.
I mean, it was a shock. It was, oh goodness, oh my God, after all this time, what are we going to do? How are we going to achieve this? But it was also kind of exciting, because it gave it another boost, another element, and it did kind of kick us to get into year 2 quickly.
Yeah.
I don't know, how did it feel for you, Beth? Because, you know, project lead.
I think it was obviously initially disappointing, having spent quite many months getting it to where it was, and then COVID hit, and it wasn't necessarily disappointing. It was more like sort of made you a bit nervous about what we could do. I think there was a part of us that we all knew we were going to do something, and it wouldn't be a loss. We just had to act quickly, like Hannah said, and it kind of gave you like an adrenaline rush. And all of the parts of the journey that we'd worked on to get the event launched in January, we kind of had to just do quickly all again to pivot it to virtual. And it was quite nice to have. We have a working group, so there's many different staff and teams across the organisation that are part of it. So we all had to quickly come together again, and just collect our previous experience from launching it in January, and learning from research that we were doing at the time for virtual fundraising, and just quickly come together. So it was probably a little tiny bit of disappointment at first, but then excitement about what we could do and how we could change it.
With event, when you're used to events, you're always used to that kind of that quick drama that happens. So panic stations, hopefully not panic stations, but quick working efficiently was there. How was it? So I'm really proud of the team, actually, for what we did. As Beth said, we've got that working group, and we had all the key stakeholders from the organisation, so the digital team and the brand team, and our data team, because that was a big one, trying to we developed our registration forms again. Sorting out the back end data is always a mind boggle. I mean, it is for me, but sorting that out was quite long. So it was about organisation and understanding what are the key tasks that we need to get done here, and that needed to be done, really that planning exercise needed to be achieved, and was achieved in a couple of weeks. And then working really closely with fundraising, you guys, and we worked with Luca and Roz, who were like a lifeline to us. So many questions were thrown at you guys. So big thanks. So it was just being efficient and understanding our planning, and understanding what we had that we could use. So Beth we did a lot of work on the assets, didn't we? Because we had originally a welcome pack that was being posted to everybody, and we decided for the virtual event, actually we needed to pull back on some money, save the charity some funds. And was a welcome pack really necessary to go through the post? So instead, and I'm sure Beth will talk about it at some point, we offered them a t-shirt instead, but we offered it to them rather than just giving it to them, which would have saved us a lot of money. So it was understanding what assets we had that we could utilise for the virtual. And then, as Beth has talked about, how can we create the key aspect of this, the community, on a virtual level, without seeing them, without having volunteers there, without having that presence together? What could we do? And I think we did really well. I think Beth did really well in bringing that together.
Well, you guys did an award-winning performance. So I think you did too.
Right.
Could I also just add on to what Hannah just said? I think one of the the big things was that this was a new event for Pancreatic Cancer UK overall, and then it was a new thing to turn it virtual. And I think what we were all learning at the same time is about virtual fundraising, but we also were learning about what it was like to work what's the word, not with your colleagues, like in remotely, yeah, working remotely away from each other was an extra challenge on top of that, because it's not, you have to be better at communicating through the channels that you have, which isn't just quickly having a brief meeting in a little room or a quick conversation over the desk. Like there was the organisation and communication had to be really key to help us work together as a team. And like Hannah said, it was a lot of teams involved, so it was very key to have those quick catch-ups all the time, different digital tools that we could use to keep in contact, and yeah, it was really nice to be able to do it all together, and a challenge just to do it remotely from each other.
It's a really interesting point, and I bet actually that, well, I can definitely attest to.
Part of the strategy that we really needed a community event, and when we worked with the agency that developed the brand, and then with you guys developing the microsite, throughout all of our briefings, it was very much we need to project a message of we're a community of people walking together, taking steps together to transform the future for pancreatic cancer, people living with pancreatic cancer. So yeah, it wasn't an accident at all. It was very much part of the strategy and part of our messaging and part of every brief, every different agency we worked with to create the brand and the event. It was, community was at the forefront. That was very much it. We if we were having a live event like was planned, on the event day you would see each other walking, you would be in masses of groups of people doing a warm-up and doing registering for the event and walking together, so you would see all of that as a participant, but that wasn't possible doing it virtually, so we had to make sure we brought any as much community element together as possible through digital channels, and using Curator as a social media feed into the website was one of those ways, so that people could not only use hashtags and tag Pancreatic Cancer UK in posts to help promote us externally to their followers and show people what they're doing, but also to bring that community together, so they want to see the other people that they're walking with and congratulate each other, and that was something we really saw highlighted in the Facebook group that we created for the event. We had a Facebook group initially started anyway, so we wanted to steward our walkers on Facebook, even in a live event scenario. But when it was going to be a virtual event, the Facebook group was really crucial to creating that community and keeping that community in one place. And throughout the 6 weeks of recruitment and then to the event day, that community grew and people were supporting each other. And they also, it allowed us to give messages to the walkers, and build excitement for the event day, let them know what they're fundraising for. One thing that we've found key is giving fundraising total updates in that group, because it really encouraged people to push through with their fundraising. But yeah, the community atmosphere, the community element was really important with Facebook, because that was the event arena on event day. Not everybody that registered joined the group, but you can see from the fundraising totals and the data afterwards that the people that were in that group, they did have higher fundraising targets, and they were the very active participants and fundraisers. And we also had on the microsite that you guys developed, we had a fundraising leaderboard, which really helped we don't want to make competition, but it also really helped to inspire other people. So I had quite a few supporters telling me that they were really excited when they saw that they were on the leaderboard, and they were able to then tell their donors that, oh, thank you so much for your donations, you've got us on the leaderboard. And it was like a healthy bit of competition and inspiration to get each other fundraising, and we had one for teams and one for individuals, and the teams naturally fundraised higher, bigger totals, and that was kind of another element that really helped is having a team entry, creating that team atmosphere, team element, so that increased fundraising, but also increased the sort of event and community atmosphere as well.
Yeah, gotcha. I noticed that on the registration flows, you allow people to select.
We originally wanted people, the event was going to be 1 mile or 4 miles. 1 mile for, we were thinking mums, young mums with their buggies might do it, all actually people in wheelchairs, people that have pancreatic cancer now. And then 4 miles because we wanted people to come together at the end of the event. But then when developing the virtual, 4 miles just didn't feel enough for some people because they'd be doing it on their own, and it was right, it wasn't enough for people, because when we look at what I think Team Oban they did a 24-hour walk, amazing.
Wow. Yeah,
and the family, it was really
a
cool.
relay. Yeah,
really, really cool. So we thought, right, well, we need to add into the registration form that people can choose what they want to do. It's up to them. They're doing it in their local area. If they want to make it a big challenge for themselves, let them. So yes.
So when we pivoted to the virtual, again, it was that thing about not being able to be together in one place in one day, and not as fundraisers not being able to have that face-to-face contact with our supporters. We knew that it had to be a very multi-channel supporter journey, and allow people to interact with us in various different means. And we want it to be very a quick sort of journey. So, and because we only had 6 weeks from launching to putting on the event, so immediately after registering, they would get a welcome automated welcome email through fundraising through the site, and then those that opted into an SMS journey that we created, a 7-step SMS journey throughout the registration period, taking us to the event day and beyond. They would get a message straight away, which actually included a video message from me, and it was kind of just a really important moment to let them know that they're part of an event. And although we're not physically walking together, we are a team of real people putting on this event for these amazing supporters who are fundraising for us, and we wanted to say thank you and put a face and name to that straight away. So that the SMS was a really important part of interacting with our supporters straight away, and it allowed them to sort of really quickly fire messages back. It's quite a quick source of interaction. We also incorporated email journey into the same journey, so everybody would get the emails regardless of if they're not on the SMS journey or not, and they were weekly emails that updated on event plans, event numbers, and obviously gave fundraising messaging, and let them know what they were fundraising for and how much they'd raised, to really sort of create up the ante and create inspiration for them to keep up with their fundraising. So that was, so the SMS journey and the email journey were really important. We also made calls with people, so we'd get in touch. It's kind of a tool we use for people that are doing really well with their fundraising, just to get in touch and say thank you, and we kind of want to know why they're supporting us, like why are these amazing people raising this much money in such a short time. We love to hear their stories. So yeah, every journey, every like media that we could use, we did use, and the Facebook group again was part of that, because it's such a digital world, doing virtual events, and social media is really integrated into that digital world. So that was really important for us to steward our supporters on Facebook as well.
From what I understand about the SMS journey, you had the fundraising team operating behind your name, Beth.
Yeah.
What was that like?
It was I think it was really important to have that one name on the SMS journey, because as far as our supporters knew, they were messaging just like a normal phone, like somebody's phone, and automatically that person would reply back, and it would be strange if multiple different people were replying back to a text message. And so that was really important, and I think it was really, it wasn't strange for me really, because we were a team working together, and I think I don't know if it was strange for other people signing off with my name when it's not actually them. The only thing that could be confusing at times was if I went to answer a message then a supporter had told me something already, but they'd actually told somebody else and they think it was me. That was that was the only thing that kind of made it a little bit challenging at times, but I think it was really important that we did it that way. And it is a shame that all the supporters don't know how many team members and how many like wonderful staff are behind the text messages sometimes, but I think for them it's more important that they know that they're getting one-to-one support from a person.
And from someone that was actually on the day, like replying to the people that were messaging in saying, hey Beth, I've just done my walk, we're back in, or and we've raised X. The warmth towards Beth was wonderful to see. And I found SMS such an exciting new tool that we'd implemented, because it was so fast, and it literally was like texting your buddy back and forth to say well done or to answer their questions. So we had loads of us doing it, didn't we? The supporter care team were on it, and some of us from the mass fundraising team, and then Beth was in it, and
there were probably about 8 or 9 people.
So we really, as I've said before, we really wanted to make it feel like a real event whilst it was a virtual. So having that kickoff time I think we began live streaming at 10 a.m. and we asked people to kind of commence their walks at 11 a.m. They didn't all do that, but it gave people a goal for those that wanted to. So fundamentally, the reason we wanted that live streaming was because we wanted to make it feel as much of a live event as possible. So we had the wonderful Ben Mundy, who does so much for us, BBC News Beat presenter.
Hi everyone, I'm Ben Mundy. I'm a big supporter of Pancreatic Cancer UK, and tomorrow I'm swapping this for these.
Kicking it off. And what was nice about that is that we'd prepped Ben on some messages that he could read out from the supporters. So the week before, we said, Ben's going to be doing this, and have you got any messages you'd like for him to read out? A bit like he'd do if he was on the radio. So there he was reading out these messages to say so-and-so setting off on their walk, or this is why this team are walking today and why it's so important. That was a really nice moment, wasn't it, Beth, when Ben was doing it, and he was doing it from his home as well.
It was amazing. And he also told his own backstory about why he supports Pancreatic Cancer UK and what the event and fundraising means to him. And that I felt like that was a really important moment, because he would have done that if he was on the stage at the live event as well. So it was really important to keep it all as much of an event as possible.
So we had Ben, and then we had the lady that did the warm-up as well, so from Brighton. So she was there in her gym gear doing a warm-up for all of our supporters that wanted to take part. Unfortunately, we couldn't see everyone taking part. That would have been awesome to do that, maybe next year. And then Beth had a piece at some point to speak to everybody and to say, right, off we go. Here we go. And we also had a few pre-recorded videos. So not everybody could go live because of the functionality. Might be something we can work on for next year. We had a few pre-recorded videos as well, from one from our trustee Carol, who has a wonderful dog called Fred, who features in lots of stuff. And then Diana, our CEO, I think at some point she did a message out to everybody. So the live streaming was about bringing lots of different aspects of people from the organisation and walkers. Actually, we had a few walkers speaking to say their background story about why they were doing it. So again, that community element. And that went from 10 a.m. through to 2 p.m. At 2 p.m, Beth rounded everybody up and said, congratulations, well done, back in. And then I think again, a bit later on, around 6 o'clock, an SMS had gone out to say to people, we were thinking at this time they'd be back. The majority were, but we had at 6 o'clock a text message going out saying, well done, congratulations. And then at that point, SMS went wild, Facebook went wild. Beth's kind of giving another message on Facebook. That worked really well. And live streaming, yeah, there's technical elements to it. I think Beth did a lot of work trying to work out what the best provider to work with on that was, didn't you, Beth?
Yeah, that was the biggest challenge, really. I think the working out how we go virtual, how we go live virtual, because it was something that we as a charity hadn't really done anything like that before, and I hadn't done anything like that before. So that was the biggest challenge. And they were the panic moments when you were trying to figure out what was the best way to stream, and getting all the right equipment to Ben, who needed to do it where he was miles away from any of us. So all those logistical stuff, you would have logistical issues to deal with on an event day, but they were kind of very different to what they would be, what they were when we were doing it virtually. So yeah, that was a learning curve.
They're all remote.
I would say that you mentioned the word teams there, which is kind of a key word, because we do notice that those who join in teams and fundraising teams do raise higher amounts. So yeah, that average fundraising is higher for teams, and I think that's because there's multiple people obviously sharing the page on their social media channels and through WhatsApp. We suggested different ways of sharing it digitally. I think also those people that used the digital assets that we created, they could download them and use them on their social media again to let people know what they were doing, and we gave price points, so amounts that if they were donated £29, for instance, that would pay for an hour of research. So we gave them these figures and these tools to use, and those that did download the assets and use the assets did see higher fundraising totals. And I think also again with gamification badges that we use, so you guys developed us some gamification badges that people could that they were on everybody's fundraising platforms, and when they hit like 50% of their target, or they donated to their own page, or 100% of their target, these badges would light up, and that kind of gave people that motivation to keep going with their fundraising and almost show people at the end what they've achieved. And as the last gamification badge we had was the digital medal. So we had a replica of our actual physical medal. We had that as a digital medal, and that lit up for everybody after event day when they took part. So these kind of nice visual markers of people's fundraising really did help people with their fundraising. And I think also I would say that again, that integration of the leaderboard really helped, because we didn't have that on our microsite when we launched the event as a flagship in January. And we did see increased fundraising by showing that leaderboard. And again, we had a totalizer on our microsite when we launched the virtual event, which showed the amount going up every day. And it was amazing to be able to show people that who visited the site, and that really did help us soar our fundraising. Soar as in yeah. And we actually had to increase that target twice. So we hit, we within a week or two of recruitment, we already hit the target that we set. So we increased it 2 more times. And I think us being able to show that on the site and then tell people in the Facebook group, that really motivated everyone to come together and fundraise. So I think it's about as much as you can show people what they're doing, really, really does increase their motivation and their fundraising.
The new elements for us in this journey were the SMS. That was brand new, and really bringing up the gamification badges as well. We'd used them before, but not so much. There were 2 new elements that we put into this. So whilst we didn't test and change and implement within the Big Step Forward journey, because it was such a short turnaround time, we just couldn't do that. What we are good at Pancreatic Cancer UK is weekly on all our projects, we're tracking everything. So we're tracking everything new that we're putting in, and understanding if it is working, so to apply to the next product campaign. And our next campaign has been Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month, known as PCAM, and we also have a microsite with fundraising for that. And what we've implemented due to the success from the Big Step Forward is the SMS journey, the 7-step SMS journey, gamification badges, and the big one is the leaderboard, having that on there. So, and the Teams as well. Teams was new for Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month this year, and that has done phenomenally. Again, that has really helped average fundraising to pick up. With the leaderboard, I should say, what it does internally is it also makes people, the staff working on the campaign, really excited almost every day on Slack channel. Everyone's like, oh my God, have you seen the leaderboard? We've hit this now. And you're getting that from like also director level. So everyone's constantly looking at this. So it's not only external people being excited, it's internal as well, which is nice to see. So yes, we learn through each campaign and apply it to the next campaign. And they're the key things that we've done from the Big Step Forward to PCAM.
Yeah,
it's
really exciting every day, like just to go on and see what people have raised and talk to each other about it, because we can't, like you say, we can't talk in person about it like next to each other at a desk, so it's like excitement through Slack.
People are probably more informed now than before, in a way, and as you said, it's all visual, and visuals work so well because they're quick, they're easy to digest, and I'd say don't be afraid. You can turn stuff around really quickly. This was turned around in less than a 2-month period, and as long as you've got some great stakeholders that you're working with, it can work. So go for it and learn from other charities as well.
Having key stakeholders involved, and just really having that team excitement. So if you don't have, you need to have that team excitement together to really want to do this together. And we're really lucky to have a team that really works well together across the organisation, not just fundraising, across all of the teams involved. So that's, if you've got that, you can do it. And also, I think we've echoed on about this a lot, but like having those different channels that you can really communicate with your supporters on, because it's so important when you're not going to be with them in one place for an event. Like the multi-channel support journey is really, really important, and keeping it up as well, not just one message here, one message there, like that constant replying to every single text message that you get, always having the last word and always saying thank you. Like it's just showing the support to the fundraisers, because they're the ones that raise the money, and it's the support you give them that really enhances the fundraising and the event.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. You've been amazing. Congratulations again. I'm going to turn off the recording. Goodbye, everyone watching at home.
Thank you. See you.
Thank you so much.